Welcome, my name is Nolan Dalla. I live in Las Vegas. This is the first video I've done in close to a year. We are doing the 2015 NFL season, week number 2. Here we go. First of all, these picks are brought to you by, well, not brought to you by, but with the help of Santa Cristina wine, a Tuscany wine from, obviously from Italy, and it's going to accompany us on our, hopefully, journey towards success and picking hopefully what are a lot of winners. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down the card every single game, pretty much no notes. In other words, I'm going to do this from just a basically this is what I think about the games. Take it or leave it. You can fade me. You can say he's an idiot, which people have said, or you can say I'm going to bet this one or I like this one. Take whatever you want to do and you can do whatever you want, and it's up to you. I do not stand by the picks, except I will stand by the information, which is correct for the most part, I believe. But I don't have notes in front of me. I like to basically look at this. I've been looking at these games all week. I have already made 3 wagers. I've already made 3 bets because I'm afraid that the lines could very well move on some of these picks, and so I had to bet them now. But I'm going to go down the line with every single NFL game, handicap the whole card, and then you can do what you want with the information. And if you want to win money in the NFL, you better have information, and you better have information that nobody else has, or very few people have. Cheers to NFL week number 2. All right, and so here's what we're going to do. The first thing that I look at from week 1 to week 2 in the NFL is the tendency is to overreact. Gamblers, sports gamblers, football bettors tend to overreact based on the things that they saw in 60 minutes of football the previous week. Yeah, we know Oakland sucks, Jacksonville sucks, Washington sucks, Tampa Bay sucks. I mean, these are teams that nobody wants to touch. So the line automatically inflates 1, 2, 3, 4 points, however many. And then by, the other side of that is teams like Buffalo and Tennessee and other teams that played very well week 1. People think, oh, these are potentially playoff teams. And maybe they are. But the key is in football handicapping is not to go with the public, not to listen to what I call the ESPN sports journalism echo chamber, where you essentially take a pick, listen to all of the hoopla about this quarterback or this coach or this team or this whatever. Well, let me just tell you something. Just trash it. If you want to make money in football, you're going to have to think outside the box, because it's not that easy. Otherwise, you just bet the Patriots every week or bet against the Cleveland Browns every week. Well, it's not that easy. So that's my lesson for, I guess an overview from week 1 to 2. The other thing that I look at is, instead of going what I call purely contrarian, in other words, looking at all the teams that lost against the spread or were embarrassed and they're going to come out with motivation in week 2, well, so, every team wants to win, and particularly teams that were embarrassed the previous week. They particularly want to win. However, they may not have the right players, coaching, staff, system, or they just have a general, what I call, tradition of losing. Cleveland Browns are a good example. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, certainly the last decade, another example. The Washington Redskins under Dan Snyder, I mean, my goodness, 20 years of this. I mean, Oakland Raiders, goes without saying. So, what I'd like to do is look at those teams, and it doesn't mean I'm going to immediately jump on the bandwagon there. However, teams that were embarrassed, that didn't play well, that have genuine talent and have now extra added motivation to go to week 2, particularly if they're at home. I think this is a really good spot. And two teams, a couple, jump immediately. I mean, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts. Let's get to all the games, and let's just start. Let's start with, first of all, New England and Buffalo. New England and Buffalo. New England is roughly a pick'em or -1. New England, obviously the defending Super Bowl champions, playing at their division rival, Buffalo, coached by Rex Ryan, and we all know the history there, that he came to the Buffalo Bills from the New York Jets. And of course, the phone has to ring as I'm doing this. We're just going to go right through it, and hopefully it's probably a bill collector. We'll see about that. Anyway, while the bill collectors call, let me take a drink. Give me a second. Anyway, the New England Patriots playing at Buffalo. Line is pick 'em or maybe -1. It's right in there. It's a very small line, especially for a Patriot game. Total is 44.5. Now, New England, of course, is just absolutely dominated this series. Dominated. They've humiliated the Buffalo Bills to the tune of winning 21 out of the last 23 games, I believe, versus the Bills. New England, again, dominated this series. New England's running back is coming back this week. LeGarrette Blount is back. This is a team, though, that has three... Last week I bet New England, as you may have seen at my site, NolanDalla.com. Let me get the commercial in there. And of course, I knew going in that New England had three offensive linemen, three rookie offensive linemen, David Andrews, Trey Jackson, center David Andrews, guard Trey Jackson, and the other guard is Mason. I forgot. Anyway, there's three rookies out of 5 on that offensive line for the New England Patriots. However, whoever plugs into that system, I mean, this is a Bill Belichick coach team. I don't have to spend a lot of time on this. This is a team that's dominated the series, plays well. Obviously, the extra motivation now here with Tom Brady, and he also has the Patriots have a 10-day rest. And meanwhile, Buffalo, coming off an enormously big win for that franchise in the very first game, coached by Rex Ryan at home. Now they've got another home game against their division rival. This team could be a little too high. This is a game where I absolutely love and make a best bet. I will repeat that, a best bet out of the New England Patriots. How often do you get the New England Patriots as a pick'em or -1? Now, it's a knee-jerk, seems like a public reaction. I think it's actually the other way around. I think the public is overreacted to what they saw with the Buffalo Bills last week. Yes, a very, very solid defense. However, Buffalo's running back, LaShawn McCoy, is questionable in this game. That's certainly a concern. Also, this is only the second start for the Buffalo quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, and he was only like 14 out of 19, I believe, or 14 out of 18 for like 165 last year. It's not like he had this great breakout game last week, and so you're asking this quarterback who played well, did essentially a fine job, but now to play against a division rival in a much tougher spot. I think this is a really bad situation for Buffalo, especially given that we clearly have the better team, probably the better coach team, certainly the team that's just dominated this series historically. And so I'm going to have to go with the New England Patriots, who have won 10 out of 11 at Buffalo straight up, and now all of a sudden they're laying -1 maybe, or pick 'em. Best bet of the week. Best bet of the week. One of two, actually, best bets of the week. The New England Patriots -1. You'll never get them this cheap, so let's take them now while we can. Oh, I'm out of breath already. So let's go down to my second best bet of the week. Let me get a drink for a second. It's actually a late game. It's one of the what I call the 4 o'clock games, or if you're in Las Vegas like I live, it's the 1 o'clock games, right? It's the late game. In other words, usually a West Coast game. The Miami-Jacksonville game shapes up to be a fantastic under. Simply fantastic, and I'm really surprised. This is a 41.5 total. The line, I believe, is Miami -5.5 or 6. Total 41.5. And I bet this one very early because I think this total drops to 41, maybe even hits 40.5. And we want to capture the key number, of course, in NFL totals betting, which is 41. That under 41.5 is one of the best plays, certainly the best total of the week. Actually, one of 2 very solid totals, but I think this is a slightly better one. A couple of reasons why. First of all, we have a genuinely underrated and very solid defense in Jacksonville. I want you to think back to what they've done the last half of last season, and then the first game of the year when they open up against Carolina. Now Jacksonville lost that first game, I believe, 20-9, but it's not like they gave up 20 points. Actually, they gave up 13 points because Bolger, the quarterback Bortles, from Jacksonville, was hit for a fumble, and they ran in the fumble for a touchdown. So really, Jacksonville only allowed 13 points defensively in this game, and this is coming off last season when in the last 6 games they averaged 19 points per game defensively. This is a solid defensive unit. Again, it's not the best in the league by any means, but it's a solid, maybe average to maybe even an above average defensive unit, considering they get absolutely no help whatsoever. No help whatsoever from their offense. None. And this is a team that defensively seems to be, coming up a little bit of a peak. Miami, meanwhile, wins a lackluster 17-10 game at Washington last week. That game was 10-10, I think, at the start of the fourth quarter, or maybe in the middle of the fourth quarter. I forget exactly where. And it was only by the grace of a punt return, like a 62-yard punt return from the Miami kicking game, that they won this game by 7 and covered the spread. It was 10-10 at Washington. In other words, against certainly a subpar, if not really bad team, Miami only put up 10 points. 10 points, and this team offensively is struggling. We have 2 struggling offenses. Jacksonville, goes without saying, is a team that just struggles and struggles and struggles all the time offensively. And Jacksonville, by the way, they played 6 straight unders. 6 straight unders. And again, we have 2 good defenses and a couple offenses that are struggling, and a total it's right about average or slightly below league average. And the other thing that I like here is this is an outdoor game at Jacksonville again. Miami doesn't seem to be in a mode here where they're going to be able to play what I call a second road game in a row. I will never, let me just mark this down. Never, never, never bet on an NFL team that has played 2 straight games on the road. That's just suicide. That's insane. And you can just look at the numbers. These teams do not do well when they have to play a second straight game on the road. So you think, I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins and fade the 5.5. I think it is. Yeah, 5.5. So I'm not laying 5.5. Anybody that says play the Miami Dolphins, run away from that person or fade their ass like a hurricane, because that is a sports gambler who doesn't know dick shit about what they're talking about. If anything, you play the home team here. I don't care who they are. The second straight home game versus a team that's played 2 straight weeks on the road, certainly you take the 5.5 here if you've got the gun to your head. And I'm not going to bet that, actually. I'm not playing the Jaguars after what I've seen. The better play of the week here is the under 41.5 on Jacksonville and Miami. Let's go to the New Orleans game. This is my other hot total of the week. I think the total in this is where Tampa Bay is playing at New Orleans. Tampa Bay at New Orleans, a NFC South game, a division game, and the total is 47.5, 48. It's right in there somewhere. And then New Orleans Saints are laying 10 points. Now this line hasn't moved all week. It's been 10, solid 10. It's probably the right number. New Orleans Saints last week playing at Arizona, playing at Phoenix. Actually, offensively, I thought they looked a little better than I was expecting them to. A huge day from Drew Brees. I think it was 30 of 46 for like 350 in yardage, and played very solidly, like we always expect Drew Brees to play. Now the Saints, I think that when you get down to evaluating what the New Orleans offense is like, this is a team that really struggled last year and really struggled in week 1 in the red zone. In other words, they get down into the 20-yard line and they move the ball all day pretty much, but they're not able to close it out with touchdowns. They got in the red zone against the Cardinals last week 4 times. They only scored 1 touchdown. Now that's a real problem. That shows some deficiencies in my view. I still say that the Saints losing, the All-Pro tight end Jimmy Graham to the Seattle Seahawks, that's a huge loss. That deficiency again showed up last week, as did the loss of running back Pierre Thomas and the wide receivers. I forgot his name. I knew this would happen to me. Anyway, the running back Spiller or something, he's gone also. So this is a brand new offense, not brand new, but a lot of moving parts for the Saints offensively. They only put up whatever it was, 16 or something last week, and defensively they actually didn't play as poorly as I thought they might. They actually they put a lot of pressure on Carson Palmer last week. The defense seems to be. It's very early, but I think that this defense maybe is a little bit better. They couldn't be much worse than they were last year. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is just an absolute train wreck of a team. They're going to be starting, Winston again from Florida State in his second game. He didn't play well last week, obviously. Numbers, I believe, were something like 15 of 33 for 160 yards. Now keep in mind what happened with Tampa last week. They fell behind 21-0, and then Winston comes in, has been in through 2 interceptions. I think his very first interception was returned for a touchdown. Horrible game. His stats didn't really look that bad because he threw for about 200 yards, but like 130 of those yards were in the fourth quarter against the reserves of the Tennessee Titans. So I don't know if this is an NFL quarterback I don't know if this is a quarterback that's capable of playing the NFL. It's not a quarterback that's capable of playing the NFL yet. We haven't seen that yet. I'm going to fade his ass. I'm fading Tampa Bay, which doesn't seem to be able to move the ball or score points. The Saints have dominated at least the last couple of years of this series, going 5-0 straight up. I'm not laying 10, though. The Saints still have some obvious problems. They're not the same home team that they were, say, from the period about 2011-ish to, say, 2014 or so. That was a team that was astonishingly good at home, but they did not play well at home last year. I'm not laying double digits with the Saints, especially in a division game. But this total at 48. At 48, you have to say, where are the points going to come from? Well, obviously, people think that the odds makers think, whatever, that the points are going to come from the New Orleans Saints, and they probably will. They are going to score 25, 30, 35, maybe. We'll see about that. I just don't see many points coming from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. So I'm willing to, go under this 48 in a divisional game. A struggling offense. A couple of defenses don't look very good, admittedly. Also, Tampa Bay, another factor. Tampa Bay committed 12 penalties last week. That's a Lovie Smith coach team that's lost 12 straight games. 11 straight games. 11 or 12, I forgot. And then they've lost 18 of the last 20 straight up. It's not a team that you're going to back under almost any circumstances right now. But I think you can fade the prospect that they're going to score a lot of points here and get into some kind of a shootout, even though New Orleans still has that reputation. By the way, real quick, this is where you've got to fade the historical reputation of the teams. And the Saints have this high-flying offensive reputation. You've lost Jimmy Graham, and you've lost Pierre Thomas, the running back, and you've got some question marks, particularly on the offensive line of the New Orleans Saints. This is not the team that's scoring 40 points a game anymore, folks. Maybe they will score 40, but I'm not so sure that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to score 7 or 8, whatever it is. So I'm going to go under 48. That's my third play of the week, which is the under in the New Orleans and Tampa game. I spent a lot of time on this. I don't know if I should spend less or more. I'll just keep talking. You shut it off if you like. Let's go to the Chicago game. Arizona playing at the Chicago Bears. Arizona obviously coming off the home win last week with Carson Palmer, who's just absolutely staggeringly successful as a starter in Arizona. I think 15-4, 15-5 straight up since Carson Palmer has taken over the quarterbacking duties and starting for the Cardinals. Normally, a quarterback or a situation I'd want to fade with those numbers. However, the Bears, this is a really big factor. The Bears are playing their second straight home game. Just a psychological angle that teams, for whatever reason, get motivated, get up for their second game, particularly if they have not done well in the previous spot. And of course, that's exactly what happened. Is the Chicago Bears lost by 8 points to the Packers last week, a non-cover against their hated division rival. However, keep in mind the Chicago Bears outgained the Packers like 403 to 213 or something. Sorry, 313. It was about 4-3. The Chicago Bears actually outgained the Packers, and so this team also rushed for a lot of yards. I think Chicago rushed for about 200 yards against the Packers. So they're running well. They move the ball well. Obviously, committed some turnovers. It's not a good team, but I'm going to take the home team here. The line is 2.5. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I'm not saying take the Chicago Bears. If your electricity shuts off, you didn't pay your bill, at least get enough energy out of whatever the battery life is on what I'm about to say. Do not play the Chicago Bears plus the 2 or 2.5 here. Don't do that. Don't do it. Well, here's what you're going to do: is you're going to tease the Chicago Bears. I think this is a really solid. The term is Wong teaser, named after Stanford Wong, who talks about teasing essentially the key numbers we could do seminars on the Wong teasers, or what we call key number teasers, picking up teasing over, anything below the 2.5 or the 8.5, 7.5 and better, and essentially catching the key numbers of 3, 4, 6, and 7 in NFL betting. So we're going to tease the Chicago Bears. Instead of 2.5, we're going to tease it up to 8.5 points. I don't think the home team here gets blown out, especially against a team coming off a big win. Some question marks. Also, the running back Ellington, forgot his name. Andre Ellington was injured last week. He's probably going to be out. So the Cardinals have been notorious for not running the ball well. And then they ran pretty well last week. I think $150 or something was their yardage in the rushing game. But now they lose the key running back, responsible for a lot of that. And I don't think this team goes on the road after that big win and then blows out the Chicago Bears team, who's going to certainly be motivated and then perform pretty well offensively last week, like the Chicago Bears did. So I would also lean over a 46 here. The total of this game is 46. I think this could be a really wild shootout game. Cutler, traditionally throwing 45, 50 passes a game. Especially with Ellington out, you could see, Carson Palmer put up the ball 50 times. This could be a wild, one of those games that's, 34-30 kind of a game either way. I'm not taking the points at 2.5, but I am going to tease this. I usually like to tee lower scoring or games where I think it's going to go under, because the 6 points tease comes into play a little more mathematically. But in this case, I do believe you took the Chicago Bears, and if you have to make a play on the total, I think clearly the over is the way to go. Over 46, as I recall. Let me get a little more fuel, and then we'll talk about what game you want to go to next. Let's see. We're going to go to Houston and Carolina. How about we'll do that? We'll do Houston and Carolina. And Carolina's -3. It's another play I have. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plays so far. Now my fifth play is going to be the Carolina Panthers -3 at home against the Houston Texans. Total in this game is 39 and a half. It's right in there. By the way, all kinds of massive angles that are pointing toward the under in this game, but I'm not going to take the under. I will not do this. It's just the time won't allow me to tell you why I'm not taking the under, even though there's just massive trends that say play the under in this game. I think the best play here is the Carolina Panthers for a number of reasons. They look pretty good. They certainly looked very good defensively. The Carolina Panthers did last week. A team that won 7 games last year. Not a team that inspires a lot of confidence. But at home, this team has played well. Same head coach with Ron Rivera. Same system with Cam Newton calling the shots, and so Carolina is, I believe, 5-3-1 against the spread. The last, 8 games at home or something like that. And also Carolina last week. There's a couple of things I really liked on the defense. First of all, they pressured the opposing quarterback last week for 5 sacks. I like defensive lines that sack quarterbacks. They also forced 3 turnovers. Defense in Carolina is no problem. It's not like that's going to be okay. So now they're playing against the Houston Texans, which absolutely stunk up like shit last week against Kansas City in the opener. At Houston, at home, and they fell behind. Forgot the score, but they were massively outplayed. The final score of this game was it 24-20 or 27-20? Anyway, the Texans lost the game, but they were never in this game. 27-20 or whatever it was, it's completely ludicrously misleading. The Texans were massively outplayed by Kansas City, which appears to be, in my view, maybe a mediocre team. And now you've got Ryan Mallett, I believe, starting with a quarterback now for the Texans this week. And is this his 3rd start? I don't have notes, but I think it's his 3rd start. And now he's playing against a very fucking tough Carolina Panther defense. I'll fade Mallett's chances against an offense that just struggles out the ass, and I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers to shut his ass down. And I don't understand this line at all. I don't understand this line. Wait a minute. The home field is supposed to be worth 3 points, right? Home team in the NFL worth 3 points. Are you telling me that these teams are on paper are equal, are the same? In other words, 3 points given to the home team here, the Carolina Panthers. Why isn't this line 5, maybe even 6? Listen, I know I'm not touting the Carolina Panthers as a Super Bowl contender here, but Gosh, massive trends favor the Carolina Panthers, 11-5 against the spread at home. A team that's against a team that's struggling offensively, started very few games. A brand new head coach in Houston who hasn't really, proven himself. The Texans could be a 3-win team this season. J.J. Watt gets all this, press. The fucking Texan defense looked awful last week. Awful. And I love to fade the misperceptions, not perceptions, misperceptions of the public. So I will gladly fade the Texans here. They should be getting at least 5, and they're getting only 3. So I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers as my 5th pick of the week. The Carolina Panthers to crawl and scream and whatever cats do. So that's my other pick there. I knew that I would need notes. Give me a second. What was the other game? Let's go to early games. Let's go to San Francisco and Pittsburgh. Let's do San Francisco-Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Steelers -7. The total is, I've forgotten the total. Shit. 45, 46? All right, so anyway, San Francisco coming off the Minnesota Vikings win where they won 20-3 last week. Steelers, of course, opened up at New England. And you know this, if you read my site, you know that I'm fading the Steelers. I'm fading the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to have, for them, a bad year, 7-9 or an 8-8 season. Season win total is 8.5, I believe. I don't think the Steelers are going to win 9 games. However, this week I think they get it done. First of all, they played pretty well against New England. I know they were down, big 28-7. They roar back, whatever, get the push in the last 2 seconds left in the game. But again, what you have to look at is Pittsburgh had all kinds of. They had a running back out, they had a wide receiver out, and the starting center for the Steelers is out for the first 8 weeks. And despite this, Ben Roethlisberger, who seems to be a winner basically, just is a winner, had a massive day. Had a massive game. He was 26 of 38 for 351, and again, no interceptions. I don't believe, or if he did, I don't remember them. And so the Steelers, and then the running back for the Steelers, D'Angelo Williams, runs for like a 127. So you've got a team that ran the ball well, that moved the ball consistently. They need to get a new fucking field goal kicker, that's for sure. That was a real problem. Otherwise, they lose that game by 1, supposedly, if they make those 2 field goals. I'm rambling, I know. I'm just saying the Steelers could have won that game, could have won against New England, and this is maybe a better team than I have given them credit for. So now they're laying 7. I'm not laying the 7. I am not laying the 7. That's too many points. But I'm going to do this. This is one of those teasable games. I get all kinds of criticism. All the haters come out, and Nolan Dalla is a fucking idiot. Well, all right, whatever. So let me just tell you what's going to happen here is the Steelers are not going to lose this game, all right? So I'm going to tease the Steelers from 7 down to 1. That's what we're going to do. Steelers from 7 down to 1. Send me the hate mail. Send me all the, whatever you want to do. I love it. Give me a second while I drink the wine. The key is NFL teams don't give 2 fucks whether they cover 7, 6, all these key numbers they talk about. But what they do is win the game. And I do believe the Steelers get this thing done here. 6-2 last year at home. The Steelers 6-2 straight up at home. A team that wins. I believe Tomlin's coached for 9 seasons. He's coached for 9 seasons. He's 8-1 in openers, home openers. Tomlin just prepares his team well for the what is a fervent type home field advantage for the Steelers. I've been in Pittsburgh a number of times, seen that stadium, got thrown out of that stadium. If you read my blog, this is a passionate winning franchise that's going to come in, and I think they're going to really hammer San Francisco coming off this big Monday night win. A short week for the 49ers. I have no respect for Colin Kaepernick. None, zero. He's a complete fraud, and that team lost about half of its, players, key players. And so I do believe San Francisco's going to absolutely stink up this game. They got to go 3 time zones to the east on a short week. And they just, new coach, everything is pointing to the Steelers, who have had 10 days to think about that loss to the Patriots, and they've got to win this fucking game. They've got to win it, and they know it. And I say that the Steelers, they may win by 3, they may win by 2, but I guarantee you that if you tease this team from 7 down to 1, 6-point teaser, bang, catch it and get the money and collect it and stick it in your pocket and buy yourself a nice Christmas present early. I told myself I wouldn't get carried away, but I know I do. All right, so let's go on to, let's see. Should we cap games that I'm not going to bet on, or what should I do here? So I'll tell you what we'll do is, give me a second. Let's do, I've done Miami, Jacksonville. Let's see, I've done, let me think of the plays here. I told myself I got to have the notes. Detroit, Minnesota. Let's do Detroit, Minnesota real quick. I don't think I have a bet in this game. Minnesota's laying 2.5. This is exactly where the line should be. Total is 43.5, 44-ish. Vikings coming off the loss last week at San Francisco, an embarrassing, humiliating loss really to San Francisco, where they lost 20-3. And it's really odd because Bridgewater looked pretty good. He looked very good down the stretch last year. If you recall his last 5 games, he looked, his passer rating was like 103. And everybody thought that the Minnesota Vikings were going to step up, maybe win 9 or 10 games. Projection, not sure where you got that number, but this was the pick that everybody really thought could challenge maybe the Packers, maybe even for the NFC. What is that, the NFC North or the Central? I forget the division, what it's called. But anyway, so Minnesota just stinks up their fucking asses against San Francisco last week. And now they come home for the opener, and they play Detroit, which has got to play 2 straight games in the road. Again, I told you before, I do not play an NFL team when they have to go on the road a second straight week. Detroit looked like gangbusters the first half. They ended up losing to the San Diego Chargers last week. The key number that I look at though with the Detroit Lions was they gave up 500 yards in the defense side gave up 500 yards to the Chargers, and that's a good team. I know the Chargers are probably a 9-win, maybe a 10-win team, but they gave up 500 yards. This is a defense that's really struggling, particularly with losing Sue on the defensive line. This was a pretty good defense, but this defense now is very, very questionable. So this is maybe the perfect recipe for the Minnesota Vikings to get healthy offensively. Mike Zimmer is obviously a good defensive coordinator. That goes without saying, but I'm not laying the 2.5. I'm not touching the game. I don't really see any value in the total at 43.5. I guess there's really not much I can more say about that. I just don't really like the game at all. Let's go to Tennessee, Cleveland. I can't believe I didn't open up with this game because this is probably one of the hottest. Let me just stop for a second because I'm gonna say something. Give me a second because I'm gonna give you a tutorial on ranting. This is one of those spots where I'm like, this to me, I got to stand up because I'm getting so fucking excited on this. All right, Tennessee and Cleveland. Here is the quintessential sucker game, sucker play. Listen, Tennessee may win the game, whatever. But I guarantee you, when this thing opened up, I think it was Cleveland -1, and now the line's 2.5, total is 41.5. Everybody and their fucking grandmother jumped on the Tennessee Titans. They thought, oh, Tennessee, they destroyed Tampa Bay last week. Cleveland sucked. And then, of course, you had Josh McCown go down with an injury at the New York Jets last week, and Johnny Manziel from Texas A&M comes in, had a horrible first season. Obviously, the off-the-field problems, a lot of speculation about his character and leadership ability, or I should say inability. And so Manziel is going to start this week apparently, and now everybody's saying, oh, the Titans, they're certainly going to destroy and blow away the Cleveland Browns. It's just so easy. It looks like money's going to rain from the sky. I mean, this is what we're hearing. But I'm not going to sucker. I'm not going to fall for the sucker play. That is a sucker play. Suckers. That's what you are if you bet the Tennessee Titans. You're fucking suckers. You are. And I guarantee you by 4:15 you're going to be like crying and saying, "What the fuck happened? I thought the Cleveland was fine." You know, that's what's going to happen to you people. Don't do it. Don't fall for the trap. It's a trap that, wham, it just comes down and snaps you. So don't fall into that fucking bear trap, all right? Like a lot of suckers do. Now, am I saying bet the Cleveland Browns? Of course not. Are you shitting me? That's like picking up a goddamn piece of dog shit and serving it for Christmas dinner. That ain't happening. That's ridiculous. But you don't touch this game. You don't touch this game. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I spoke too soon, all right? Let me think about this for another minute. All right, so actually, let me tell you. Actually, the under, there may be a slight lean on the under. I may even play, this for a couple $100 just for shits and giggles. I mean, we lean under because you have the second straight road game for the Tennessee Titans. By the way, the big talk, I can't believe this. I just talked about this game for about, 4 or 5 minutes. I didn't even bring up Mariota, for the Oregon quarterback. Everybody says, "Oh man, Mariota's the real deal. He really is an NFL caliber quarterback." Well, maybe he is. Do you know what his stats were last week? If you're still with me, you probably don't know this. I think it was 11 of 16. He threw 16 fucking passes. 16. Of course, he didn't have to. The team was up 21-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. He didn't have to throw a fucking forward pass. He could have taken a fucking knee the rest of the game, and they still would have won the game. So I mean, Mariota's maybe a rising star. I hope he is. I like the franchise. I like him. But let's not go overboard here, folks, okay? Let's not overreact to what we just saw in 60 minutes of football, which is exactly what the public is doing. Also, the running game for the Tennessee Titans. You know who the leading rusher was for the Titans last week? Name escapes me. You know how many yards he ran for? 74. This is a team that did not run the ball particularly well, didn't pass the ball particularly well. Fucking Tampa Bay is just so goddamn inept that they just gave away the game. So let's not throw the New Year's Eve party of the Super Bowl winner here, the Tennessee Titans. This is a game that's going to go down to the wire. It's going to be tight. It's maybe a field goal game either way. You may flip a coin. I don't know who the fuck's going to win. Don't touch this. Don't fall for the prognosticators who all jump on Tennessee. If anybody just jumps on Tennessee, you know what that tells me? S-U-C-K-E-R. S-U-C-K-E-R. Whatever, Mickey Mouse. I mean, that's what you are, a fucking Mickey Mouse. That's crazy. I told myself I wouldn't get emotional, but I can't take this. I just can't. I can't take this shit. So I think I'm looking at I think we're about 30 minutes in or something. If you're still with me, how much more are we going to go? All right, let me run through this real quick. Let's just run very, very quickly. Dallas at Philadelphia. I can't believe this line. This is another play. Dallas coming off the New York Giants victory, a false victory. It was really a loss by the Giants. Let me abbreviate the last couple of plays here or what have you, because we've been here too long. The Philadelphia Eagles coming off a game they could have won if the field goal kicker kicks that 45-yarder at the end. Second half they dominated. This is a team that's coming. They're playing 5.5, 4.5 and 5. The total, by the way, at 55. Holy shit! By the way, just by the way, if you're a pure math person, you're going to go under the 55. If you just bet under all the 50.5s and up in the NFL in the regular season, since the turn of the century, that's wrong. Since 1900, you're winning about 55% there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Send me an email if somebody shows me that I'm wrong. If you go any total at 50.5 or higher and bet under, you're winning about 55ish%, somewhere in there, maybe 56%. So just anybody's betting overly one of these high totals is just a sucker. You're just a sucker. Learn your lesson. Do not do that. So just instinctively, I maybe even play in the under. Has nothing to do with capping. Has nothing to do with anything else except just a pure numbers play. And sometimes you may want to just pull something out of your wallet and say, you know what? If you're getting all these numbers and you want to, you could somehow pick up the 5 or 10% on the roulette wheel. drop the money and let's fly. That's what you do. That's how you win in gambling. It's all about mathematics. So you just play under the 55, probably. That's not hardcore handicapping. Anyway, I probably lean toward Philadelphia here. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I probably lean toward Dallas here because Dallas get a division rivalry game. They're getting like 5. The other thing is Dallas has won, excuse me, I believe 3 straight and 4 of 5 in Philadelphia. 4 out of their last 5. You check. I know I'm almost certain I'm right on this. Dallas has pretty much dominated the last 2 or 3 years since Jason Garrett's been the coach. They won both games last year. The problem is Philadelphia is the last year and a half. They're like 10-3 straight up at home. This Philadelphia Eagle team wins at home. Now the thing is, if you look at the Eagles, who they beat bad teams. They had a really weak schedule at home last year. They normally don't beat good teams. Dallas is clearly a good team. There's no question. They may even be a Super Bowl contending team. So you're giving a Super Bowl contending division rival 5 points. Now I know Dallas. I don't know what else I got to say. You just play the Cowboys probably, but I haven't pulled any money in my pocket. I probably will end up betting the game and betting small. But if I guess if you're looking at value, you have to say, how do I not bet the Dallas Cowboys here? Seriously? And everyone's really falling in love with the new offensive system and Chip Kelly's offense. And Sam Bradford, certainly looked very good against in the second half. He looked like shit in the first half. But that was against a tired defense in the Falcons. And I think they massively outscored the Falcons last week. But we may be overreacting again to what we saw last week. Dallas defense, hard to say where they fit in. They only held the New York Giants, I think, they held the Giants to less than 300 yards of total offense last week. Keep that in mind. And that's a defense with a lot of good wideouts. Eli Manning, winning quarterback certainly. So this is quite an accomplishment to hold the Giants to less than 300. So I think you got to play the Cowboys. This looks like a field goal game either way. And of course, there's motivation on the Eagles side because they're 0-1 and Dallas coming off a big win. A couple of games I don't give 2 fucks about, and I did look at them. If you think that I'm just sitting here spewing whatever, that's not the case. I do look at all the games. I look at all the games, but I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and just have you blow your money. I know how hard you work. I know that how much this means to you, and I want to deliver knowledge and information. So, San Diego at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's -3, and the total is 47, 46 or 47. That's a fairly high total. I have no interest in the game, none at all. I'm not even going to spend any time on it. St. Louis at Washington. Again, it looks like a tale of 2 cities, doesn't it? Oh, the St. Louis Rams now, maybe a contender. They met me with Foles, and they come out. They said played so well against Seattle. Washington sucks, and my goodness, Kirk Cousins starting for Washington. That was already one of the worst offensive. That was the worst offensive line in NFL. The worst offensive line in football was the Washington Redskins, and I saw nothing to change my opinion last week. And Kirk Cousins coming out with just poor decisions. It was just ugly to watch this offense. The thing that gets me is Washington's defense. And by the way, that's the worst coaching staff in the NFL. Washington's Redskins are the worst coaching staff in the NFL, bar none. I could do a fucking hour on the Redskins if you want to hear that sometime. All right, I bet you don't want to see that. Anyway, the thing is about Washington, the defense played well last week. You have to give Washington props defensively because they held the Miami Dolphins to 10 points. And they lost the game 17-10, but one of the winning touchdown was a punt return, and they were actually ahead at halftime 10-7. I mean, the Redskins came out with some life, at least defensively. And again, mark it down, stamp it right here. Do not play against teams. Generally speaking, don't play against teams that are playing their second straight road game. Doesn't apply here. But what does apply is Washington. I don't like a team that's lost their first home game and now they're playing a second straight home game to open the season. For Washington, it's circled the wagons. We've got to play well, guys. This is like your fucking jobs are on the line. And that's what's going to come out of the locker room in Washington. So there's no way. There's no way. I forgot the line. Is it 3? What is St. Louis late in this game? This is one of those I just forgot about. I can't remember the line. Anyway, I know Washington's getting points. I'm not taking the Skins because their offense sucks. But I'm not playing the game either. And there's no way I'm playing the St. Louis Rams in this game. The other game I think is interesting, except that there's what I call conflicting information. Here's the Atlanta Falcons playing at the New York Giants. The Giants are, I guess I'm just getting tired, whatever. Are they laying 3, 2.5 or 3? The total is 50 or 51 in this game. The problem is there's conflicting information about the Giants. I think the Giants looked pretty good last week. I know that I'll get a lot of flack on this one, but I still am a believer in Tom Coughlin. I think he's just a leader and I don't say a winner, but the man's won 2 Super Bowls. We won't get into the Tom Coughlin parade here, but I'm not going to fade the Giants in the home opener. They probably should. They know they should have won that game last week, and you kind of have what I call a zigzag effect. You have the Giants coming out of Dallas, humiliated, all the controversy about who had this situation with the clock mismanagement with under 2 minutes to go and you didn't have the running back score, and Eli Manning, why didn't he take the sack, blah, 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 blah. You have all this going on in New York and the press there, and so that is a distraction certainly, but the New York Giants, fundamentally speaking, are a good, or if not at least decent football team, particularly offensively. And so they're playing their home opener. It's really hard to fade that. Almost a must-win situation for the Giants. And you have what I call the zigzag effect. You have the Falcons, who very well could have lost that game last week against the Eagles. Could have lost. The game was 26-24, I believe. But the game probably should have ended 27-26, Philadelphia. And Atlanta should be 0-1, and they should be fucking burning effigy, Ryan in effigy in Atlanta. He didn't look good at all. Did you watch that game? He didn't look good at all. I wasn't impressed at all with that Atlanta offense, and the defense just was gassed at the end of the game last week. That was like the NFL's like 29th or 30th ranked defense last season. They came out like gangbusters the first half of that game, but they did not look good overall. They gave up a lot of yardage. It looks like if that game would have gone another 15 minutes, it would have been like fucking Secretariat with the Philadelphia Eagles destroying their asses. So I'm not going to play the Falcons, especially on the road. On the road, getting a very small number of points against a team that's going to be very, very motivated and is certainly well coached. Next game, Baltimore at Oakland. Baltimore is favored in the game for sure. It's 6.5. Total's got to be 40-ish, 42.5 or 43. I'm not touching the game, just not touching. There's uncertainty about the Oakland quarterback position. That's why it was off the board for the first 5 days. This is Friday night, by the way, I'm not making this. So some of the games have been off the board, and there's been some injury situations. So if you say, how come LaShawn McCoy is playing? If I get one of those emails, it's because I'm shooting this on Friday night. So so hold on, folks. Give me a second. Anyway, Baltimore, Oakland, no interest. Why wouldn't you play the Baltimore Colts? Why wouldn't I play the Baltimore Colts? I think Baltimore is going to still win 9 or 10. I think Baltimore is going to win 10 games. Is going to be a wild card. I think Baltimore is a very solid team. Could have won that game last week for sure. Oakland, they may not score in this fucking game, but I'm not playing the Baltimore Ravens laying 6 on the road. Laying 6 on the road. No siree. Not doing it. I'm just not going to play the game. Miami, Jacksonville, I've given you that. It's a late game. What is this? What is the night game? It's Seattle playing at Green Bay. Seattle playing at Green Bay. Wow. This is the game that everybody's going to be watching. They're going to get, 80 million. They always talk about, just real quick sidebar. They always talk about what is the NFL rate in TV ratings, and they'll show it got 35 million people. Bullshit! It's getting 130 million people because everybody's in a bar or a casino or with their buddy's house and there's 15 people watching. Half of the men in this country are watching the NFL. It doesn't matter who the fuck's playing on Sunday night or Monday night, and you know it. So don't give me these bullshit about 36 million people watched. It's fucking triple that number. And I just get incensed when I hear about like, oh, you've got like American Idol. Yeah, everybody's talking about American Idol gets 21 million viewers on the Nielsen ratings, and the NFL got 18 million. Bullshit! The NFL got 115 million people because half the people got money on it, and the other half are betting fantasy football. I told myself I wouldn't get off and go on these tangents, but I do. All right, so the total. Let's get the line is 3.5, 3 or 3.5. Yes, the line is 3.5. It's Green Bay coming into a huge revenge situation. 48 or 49.5, 48.5 or 49 is the total on this Seattle-Green Bay game. And this, sets up to be again, another situation where you have conflicting information. Green Bay motivated, probably this is the right side to play. But Seattle, again, playing their second straight road game, not a team I want to back. If Seattle would open up at home and now they're getting 3.5, I would have taken those points. I'm not playing the Seattle Seahawks here with some other offensive line questions. Defensively, they didn't look good at all last week. This is a team that, you may start worrying about. It's not like Russell Wilson's going to this is not a guy who throws for 400 yards every week. I don't want to say panic in Seattle, okay, but they could be 0-2 here, and they can still very well win the NFC West. Anything else to say about that game? I can't think of anything about Seattle and Green Bay. Last game. All right. So we're into this for a while. You're still with me. You're still with me. You're still with me, I hope. So let's talk about the final game and the final. This game is gonna have 3 wagers. 3 wagers. Did you get that? It's gonna have 3 wagers. Get out your pins. Pull out your wallet. Go to the window. And bet the mortgage. Here we go. Alright, I hate public plays. I hate what I call the obvious pick. I hate that because I'm a contrarian. You fade the public. That's how you make money. You look like a fool about 40% of the fucking time. But I guarantee you, whenever there's all the guys are crying, "Oh, I can't believe my pick didn't win." Well, you're sitting there catching your ticket and sticking it up their ass. So that's the way to make money in football, is to fade or be contrarian. I wish there was a fire behind me. I could have a cigar and with all my wisdom. All right, so now let's talk about the New York Jets playing at Indianapolis. The total on the screen 46.5, 47. Total is the line is 7. The Colts are -7. Whew. I'm excited about this game. This is a fabulous game. This is almost like the perfect setup. If you rewind the tape, and I told you want to fade what you watched last week. Colts looked like shit. The Jets won 31-10. I forgot. They won by 2 or 3 touchdowns against the Browns. And now the Jets have to go to Monday Night Football, play on the road at Indianapolis. You know what that stadium is going to be like. You know that's going to be a rocking place. And this is like a breakout, fuck you, here we are game for the Indianapolis Colts. That's what this is. And I know that there's some internal strife. There's been talk about the general manager and the head coach in the Colts. There's been a little bit of talk this week. There's been some, and that's kept the line down. That's good. That's good for us. The Colts are in such a massive must-win, fuck you game, and it's a Monday Night Football at home. This is absolutely a perfect spot. The New York Jets are not a good football team. They're an awful football team. An awful team. I think they have some really good key position players. There's probably 7 or 8 players, and I can rattle them off, as to who they are. This is a team that I felt sorry for some of the players on. I'm going to give you something about the Jets. This is Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know about the Geno Smith situation. Ryan Fitzpatrick started for the Jets last week, and he's what I call a bust out from Chan Gailey. Ken Gailey and him have some history. Oh, who's Chan Gailey? Well, he's the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. I've had to bug up my fucking ass for Chan Gailey, who has no business anywhere near an NFL franchise. None! Unless he's selling a fucking cotton candy stick or a candy apple. He has no fucking clue how to run an NFL offense. None! He ran the Pittsburgh Steelers into the ground offensively. He ran the Dallas Cowboys for 2 years. He had Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith, and he couldn't fucking win a playoff game. Are you kidding me? And then he goes to the Buffalo Bills and runs that franchise into the ground. And then this guy puts a resume out and he's hired by the New York Jets. There should be fucking riots when that happened. I mean, you've got Chan Gailey is the way you say his name, coaching his favorite quarterback from the Buffalo Bills days, who's a complete, I know he's got an Ivy League education, but he's got Fitzpatrick running his offense. A team that, misperceptionally wise, won last week, and they've got to go into arguably the best team in the AFC. Arguably, maybe next to the Patriots, certainly the second or third best team in the AFC, and we're laying seven with the Colts. I'm laying the 7. I'm making 2 teaser plays. 2. Mark them down. If you're still with me, mark them down. If you want to fade me, mark them down. I'm making 2 teaser plays. This is my wheelhouse fucking game. All right? Are you still with me? You're going to take... Is that you, sweet girl? I know, we're going to go to dinner and we're going to go do our bike ride in a second, right? I'm almost finished here. I got married and laughing at me. I was on a roll there, wasn't I?
It's on over an hour.
No, it's not quite, but I'm almost done. I'm almost done here. I'm giving him the pick of the week.
It's cold.
Huh?
I'm already eating the salad. Dinner is cold.
Dinner's cold? Shit. All right, so let me just wrap this up like that. Here we go. Boom. The Colts are going to cover 7. They're going to win this game by 3 touchdowns. Yeah. And then you're going to also do this, just in case I'm wrong. In case I'm wrong, you're going to tease the Colts from 7 down to 1. The Colts are not going to lose this fucking game to a Chan Gailey offensive coordinated fucking ass where he's got quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick with his mustache looking like a Fu Manchu, bass player for the Grateful Dead. This is not a team you're going to be betting on as the New York Jets. You're going to fade that. The Colts are going to win the game. You're going to go -1. In other words, 6-point teaser. Stay with me. Colts -7. You're going to tease that down to 1. Who are you going to wheel that with? Wheel. There's my favorite word, a teaser wheel. Well, you're going to do it with 2 teams. But I think clearly the 2 teams that you tease this week, Pittsburgh Steelers, is it 6? 6.5? The Steelers are going to win at home. They're going to win at home, a must-win situation for the Steelers franchise against an overrated, poorly quarterbacked San Francisco team, a complete fraud of a team now with a shell of its former self. Steelers win this game, tease the San Francisco 49ers, and then Chicago Bears, yes. You're going to do what I call the Wong teaser. It's 2.5 is the line in Chicago. Second straight home game for the Bears. 2.5. I told you don't touch the Bears, but you're going to tease over the key numbers of 3, 4, 6, and 7, and you're going to catch 8.5 on the Chicago Bears. This is the game. Is Indianapolis is going to win this game by 17 points, whatever, and they're going to win cover the 7. They're going to perfect teaser spoke on the wheel. Boy, I just put my whole fucking bankroll on the Colts this week. Got to do that, and then just everybody would be like, popping their, I'm trying to come up with metaphors here. I'm struggling here. I've been on the air for like an hour here. All right, my wife's laughing at me. She wants to go to dinner, and I think I need to take her to dinner. Do you guys agree? Anyway, let me give you my plays. I got to use my. I got to look at notes for the first time. Now I'm looking at notes. I didn't. By the way, here's my notes. I want you to see what I've had here. These are my notes. That's all. That's what I've been reading off of. Okay. I have had notes. I'm going to say I cheated. This is what I've had to look off of. You see that? This is the plays. Now here's my plays. You want to get some money? You want to make some money? You bet against me? Let's see how it goes. You bet for me? Let's see how it goes. My 9 plays this week are as follows. Carolina Panthers -3. Tampa Bay New